2018 Range Rover Sport SVR Review. The Who, The Rolling Stones, Pink Floyd, Elton John, David Bowie, Queen. Those four guys from Liverpool. For a small rock in the North Sea, the United Kingdom is responsible for a big number of the greatest rock bands of all time, all of whom left their own unique, indelible mark on music. And I humbly suggest that the exhaust note of the 2018 Range Rover Sport SVR deserves to be added to the list. There's a lot to talk about with Land Rover's $115,000 high-performance hammer, but it's impossible to say anything without first bringing up that sound. In comfort mode, the supercharged V8 burbles pleasantly through the quad exhaust pipes with minimal whine, an unplugged warm-up session before the main event. Then you put the SVR-tuned Rangy into dynamic mode and press the magic exhaust button normally found on Jaguar F-Types, and those activated valves transport you to a sonic world you didn't know existed, a place where the noise being made by a 5,400-pound SUV rivals that of any spicy pizzo from Italy. You'll lose yourself in the crescendo. Thankfully, the thing crackles and pops with force on the overrun, punching through the delirious haze like a gated reverb snare. There's no reliable way to transcribe the sound. It must be heard, felt, experienced. It alone is probably worth half the six-figure price of admission. And Land Rover has done its best to close the gap by crafting a true dual-purpose vehicle, one that's equally at home on a racetrack and a rutted trail. We've posited before that Range Rovers are the best SUVs in the world when you get down to it, so the Sport SVR should be the best performance SUV in the world. Honestly, it's damn close. Close because there are still a few nits to pick with Solihull's fastest. Some are subjective, like the awkward time I had using the Touch Pro Duo infotainment/climate control screen that does away with most physical buttons. But even in this era of globalization, I ran into more than a few classic British gremlins in various electronic systems during my week-long test, almost enough to make me think twice about the price. Almost. At the end of the day, it's still a Range Rover, which means it's still a capable and beautifully aspirational rig that makes people stop and stare no matter what. The SVR's soundtrack just gives them more of an excuse. It's a Range Rover Sport. Mercedes has AMG, BMW has its M division, and Jaguar Land Rover has special vehicle operations to take its vehicles to extreme, illogical ends. For the Range Rover, that can take the form of an luxuriant Range Rover SV autobiography, soon available in a two-door body style, or the hard-charging Range Rover Sport SVR. The base Sport model has been updated for 2018 with a sleeker front fascia and integrated tailpipes. The wizards at Hogwarts SVO's new technical center in Coventry tune the chassis and add a more aggressive front bumper, a carbon fiber hood, and a rear spoiler to the proceedings. It's available in a variety of appropriately loud colors like Madagascar orange and spectral racing red chromaflare, and an optional $5,200 carbon fiber package leaves the raw weave unpainted on the hood. Altogether, it's not subtle. But the Santorini black paint on my tester went a long way towards giving it the passing appearance of maturity, as would any of the 10,000 other shades of black on offer. And the way the exposed carbon fiber was only visible in direct sunlight was a cool effect. Throw in the available 22-inch wheels, and the Range Rover Sport SVR does a good job of differentiating itself from the similar Range Rover Sport Supercharged, which lacks the aggressive visual trappings of the SVR. That model also makes do with about 50 fewer horses under the hood. SVR interior combines class and performance. Classy is as classy does, and there's no mistaking this interior for anything other than a Range Rover. That means stylish appointments, quality materials like Windsor leather, and premium touches like touch-capacitive switches throughout, with understated badging and not-so-understated sport bucket seats giving the SVR model its own flair. High-resolution screens abound, the gauge cluster is now fully digitized, and Land Rover's Touch Pro Duo 2-screen infotainment system has taken over the center console. The 22-speaker, 1700-watt Meridian stereo system sounds great. I assume, I barely used it, what with that sound out back. It all looks the part in theory. So why did it leave me a little cold? Part of it stems from the Touch Pro Duo interface, which looks beautiful and packs some interesting ideas but lags, literally, in execution. The top screen is a standard media/navigation infotainment unit, while the bottom one controls climate, drive modes, and other vehicle functions. It has two context-dependent knobs that control different settings depending on which menu you're in, plus a blessed volume knob, but everything else is touchscreen-based. It's awkward hunting things down at first, though there's bound to be a learning curve with any unique setup. A larger problem is that it's frustratingly slow to respond, as were the gauge cluster menus when using the steering wheel controls. Bringing me to another issue, the all-black interior. Solid black interiors look cheap and bland to me because they mute much of the design. But paired with the black exterior, it also absorbs a ton of solar heat. I left the truck parked outside all day as temperatures topped 105 degrees and hopped in around 5 p.m. to drive across Los Angeles. The interior was still uncomfortably hot after 45 minutes even with the AC pumping. Supercharged V8 brings the power. Then again, the sinister vibe works with the supercharged 5.0-liter V8 under the hood. The venerable AJ133mm has been stuffed into just about every Jaguar Land Rover vehicle this decade, and it's also become the powerplant for outlandish projects like the Land Rover Defender Works V8, the Jaguar XE-SV Project 8, and of course, the SVR versions of the Jaguar F-Type and the Range Rover Sport. It's a tried and true solution to the problem of making things go fast.